fire burn and cauldron bubble. Good evening. Woodblock printmaker Dave Bull here, now in the final editing stages of the next installment of our video series on papermaking. It has been quite a long time since the previous episode, and I have got a lot to catch up on. Back in that previous one, I showed a sample sheet of the new washi that had been made for us by Naho Murata, who is working with us on this project. And, as I promised then, this will be a hands-on video, taking us right through her production process. We will watch as she turns bundles of dry mulberry bark into gorgeous sheets of finished washi ready for our printers. It's an absolutely fascinating process, and I'm very happy to be learning more about how the magic is done. Paused. Okay, as you can see, today is going to be video. Last night, I set this all up last night as the shop was closing. Yamada-san wasn't here in the afternoon. I've taken over his office. I was rehearsing all last night. This morning, I've got to get this stuff in the can. So some of the takes I'm doing now, this is now, last night was all rehearsing, this is all now recording. It's going to tape. That one I just did, maybe that's going to be okay. Maybe I will have to take it again. I don't know. So what I'm going to do this morning now, I've got about, the video itself will be about an hour long. Some of the recording I got to do today will be on camera where people will actually see me. That last one you've seen right now will actually be, people will be seeing what I do. Some of the things I'll be saying today are going to be voiceover because there's lots of video that's already been taken, and I will be doing a voiceover explaining what's going on. So yeah, you're seeing behind the curtain. And if you don't want to get spoilers for the video that's coming out Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever I get the editing finally finished, then go away now because it's full of spoilers. I don't think it's going to spoil anything. You know, hearing me say something about what's going to be seeing is just a tease for what's going to be coming up. So I don't think this is much of a spoiler. Why am I doing this now? Simply, I've got to get this done. This video is so late. The stars have lined up. He was out of here. We have room for the space. So I'm just going to do this today. Whether it's interesting for our Twitch viewers or not, I think it is. Okay, so as what else? To add a little bit of extra in here today, I have also to show you two little video clips. One taken yesterday afternoon of the ninja, and one I've got a magic show for you. This is really a tease, but it's absolutely true. I have a 2-minute video clip of myself doing a magic trick. Whatever. And when I say doing magic, what I mean is what magicians do, right? They stand up on stage and they've got a hat or whatever. They pull something out and they do things and they do stuff with a watch or whatever. And you saw exactly what they did, but you didn't see what they did. So we're going to do that. So I don't know how to organize the work today. Let me do now a bit more of this to try and get stable and to get steady with this. You can listen while I'm doing this. And then we'll have a couple of our videos. Someone said we already had box magic last stream. There's a connection. Okay, what I'm going to do, because my voice stumbled during that last one, I'm going to do that last bit again. And then this time I'll continue on. The part you just saw is Dave to camera, but the next part that continues is me doing voiceover, but I continue to keep the thread and to keep everything as smooth as possible. I will continue talking to camera, even though some of what I'm saying will be just voiceover. I myself won't be visible, but I will sit here as though I was, because when I'm doing the editing, I will be cutting back and forth to myself here anyway. Anyway, enough talk. Let me just do some of this. You guys just hang out and watch. Enjoy your conversations. I'll come back to talk to you in a few minutes because I have to change the tape. The camera over there has to come on and off, and I have different scripts on my teleprompter that I have to change. Did I say teleprompter? I don't know how I can show you all this stuff. Is it possible I can move some of this without spoiling it? If I take this camera and point it over there for a minute. can we do this? Okay, there's a light. You see the light. It's just over there. Beside, oh, it may not go. Okay, there you go. You can see it. Over there, I just unplugged something. Over there, that's my teleprompter. And behind it is the camera. I'm using a Canon camera to do this. I've got a button here to turn it on and turn it off. It's all preset. So a lot of what I'm saying is prompted, and it's in two parts. It's in two different ways. Some of the teleprompting is actual, it's a line of text. When I've got something I really wanted to say carefully and get the idea across, I've actually typed it up and it will come up on the teleprompter. But the whole thing you're about to hear is not a wall of text. Most of it is point, point, point. You'll hear maybe a faint click as I click to the next. It's like prompt cards, and the points, 1 or 2 or 3 points, tell me what I need to say at the moment, and then somewhere in the middle of there will be a line of text. And if I'm not very careful about this, you'll see something like David Goinglis as he reads the text. I hope I can do a better job than that. Okay, let's get the laptop not quite visible. Okay, that's it. Let me roll back to what I just did once more, and this time I will continue. Just hang out. What do I need to do here? That's set. That's rolled back to the beginning. I need my headphones on. All quiet on the set, please. Red light. Fire burn and cauldron bubble. Good evening, woodblock printmaker Dave Bull here. Now in the final editing stages of the next installment of our video series on papermaking. It's been quite a long time since the previous episode, and I've got a ton of things to catch up on. Back in the previous video, I showed a sample sheet of the new washi that had been made for us by Naho Murata, the lady in Echizen who is working with us on this project. And I think I promised you then that this next video would be a hands-on video, taking us right through her production process. We're going to see the whole thing. We're going to watch as she turns bundles of dry mulberry bark into gorgeous sheets of finished washi ready for our printers. It's an absolutely fascinating process, and I'm very, very happy to be learning more about how the magic is done. There's an important point to bring up before we begin. I'm here in Tokyo, but Murata-san is in Echizen City, which is right across on the other side of the country. I can't just drop over to her workshop on any given day to film what she is doing. But I have made many visits over the past few months, going back and forth enough times to catch basically a complete set of video clips. And I will present those to you here now in a sequential, logical fashion. So if it's, snowing or raining in one shot and we're in sunny short sleeves in the next, please understand the reason. It's the continuity of the process that has taken the priority during my editing. Okay, near the end of episode 2, I showed video of racks of dry mulberry fiber after harvesting. I explained how I had purchased quite a stack of the fiber from Mokuhankan, and Twitch viewers had a good laugh one day some months back as they watched me pack some for shipping to Murata-san. It did arrive safely in the end, and she called me one day a bit later when she was ready to schedule the first cook using our mulberry. We arranged the date, and when I arrived early that morning, camera ready to roll, I found that she had put 10 kilograms of the fiber, the dry weight, of course, in a shallow tub of water the previous evening to let it soak and soften, ready for work. Now, some of that, of course, as you heard, some of that is going to be me speaking directly to the camera, and then some of it will be overlaid with the video clips. The video clips are already in there. I've already prepared them to the certain sort of, I've put everything in the timeline, preparing it to the length that I want, and I've prepared these cards telling me what to say, and I really don't know yet how long the script is. So in other words, the video is in the timeline, soaking, boiling, testing, nantuka, 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 and I've made the prompt cards to match what I'm supposed to say at each time. But there's no way, I can't, what I don't want to do, I tried this earlier in my career, we just couldn't do it. I would play video here and then sit here as though I was in a recording studio watching the video and make up a voiceover as it happened. But I just could never get it to work and then clip in exactly the right length. So I've learned now the best way for me to do it is this. Do a rough timeline first. Don't stitch everything perfectly carefully together. Don't get it all just perfect. Put the pieces in place, what I want to talk about. Then prepare the prompt cards. Put them in there. And now I'm not going to watch the video as I do this. Forget about this right now and just say the thing. Then maybe I'll do a second take or I'll do a third take. So I've got a few copies in the can. I then take that audio back into the video editor, find out what the best take is, put it in the timeline, but then now almost certainly some of the video clips are too short, some are too long, I rambled on too long or I didn't stay enough. Then edit the visual parts to match the voice thing that I have done today. When that's all set, stitch it together, export the audio, take it to an audio software, clean it up, take out the pops, clicks and whatever, and maybe even some of the clicks from the teleprompter tool here. Can you hear it? I'm doing it loud, but I try and do it quietly. Clicking pages, clicking pages. So that's the basic concept of what we're doing here and what I'm trying to do. Some of this will be just audio, some of it will be blah, 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 blah. Someone's saying here, this is a how-to for narrating a video for YouTube. I have no idea. I'm not any idea how other people would do this, whatever. Okay, let me do a couple more segments because I have a lot to get to. I don't think I'm going to be getting through all of it on our stream today. It doesn't much matter, whatever. There's no grand finale well, whatever. How long does editing take? I've been doing this for months. No, the remote here, this is simply activating record and not record. The camera is set up. There's a exposure lock on the camera. There's a focus lock on the camera. It's all prepared. I did it before. I've got my white shirt, my this. I held an exposure card. The camera's all set. What this is for is simply start recording, stop recording. Start recording, stop recording. There's a huge card on it. I can just sit here all day and do it. So the button here is for the camera off and on. What was the other question? Oh, the clicker is for the teleprompter. The teleprompter text is coming from another laptop computer down on the floor there. And it's got different scripts. I will have to go and change one script. Okay, enough talk. Let me do the next part. Where am I? Where did we get to? Yes, okay. Glasses off. This is it, the continuity too. I'm really bad. You know, that last clip, of course I had my glasses off, but where were they? Were they here or were they here? So I've put the pause button on there, stat to talk to you, putting the glasses down. And now I'm going to put the glasses down somewhere else. So if we pick it up again, the glasses magically jump to a different place. There's no way I can keep track of the continuity. So what we do in a case like that is if I find that the glasses have jumped somewhere or they're in my pocket or now they're gone or whatever, it doesn't matter because at that point we overlap with one of the B-roll items. So maybe the glasses were here, we cut out the B-roll, we see Murad-san doing something, and when we come back to me, the glasses are now here, but at least we didn't see the glasses jump from right to left. Anyway, enough talk. Is there interesting questions and stuff happening? I don't know. Well, it's not just the glasses. I'm using the glasses as an example, but it's everything. It's the headphones. It's my legs. Was I left crossed over the right? Was, you know, it's everything. Continuity is extremely difficult when you're doing it all by yourself. I think in movies there's a team. There's people standing around with clipboards. The continuity girl, I think. It's a thing in movies. Mr. Bull, I'm sorry, your pencil was behind your right ear earlier. Please change it. I don't have such an assistant here. Okay, let's do the next section. Glasses there, I don't remember, I don't care, because this was going to be video. The next thing I say won't be seen by me anyway. Red light. And this is constantly recording audio all day long. We are in a small room isolated from the main workshop. This is going to be very messy and it gets very noisy. The main cauldron for cooking the mulberry fibre has been freshly cleaned for this job after being unused for many years. It has neither inlet nor drain. The ring structure you see here is connected by pipes to a boiler in a separate room, and it has small punctures at intervals around the circle. Once everything is turned on, hot steam pours from these holes, and that provides the energy for the cooking process. Murata-san begins to fill the cauldron. While it's filling up, she begins the initial washing of the fibre. It could have picked up who knows what kind of dust and dirt along the way, so it's just common sense to give it a rinse at this point. She is pointing out to me at this point that this particular batch of fibre still has much of the greenish cambium layer present. Fibre without this layer would make whiter paper, but this batch will end up with a slightly off-white natural tone. Once the water reaches a certain level, she opens the boiler connection and pulses of steam begin to come through the ring. She continues her washing while the cauldron comes to the boil. With steam rushing through the pipes and out into the cauldron, the room becomes very, very noisy. And then in goes the fibre, with Murata-san making sure it is well separated and spread out. It looks already full, and at this point I assumed that the cooking would have to be happening in 2 batches. But no, the fibre you see there is still It looks already full, and at this point I assumed that the cooking would thus be happening in 2 separate batches. But no, the fibre you see there is still floating. She actually got the entire basket full into the cauldron. Now the boiler is powerful, and it doesn't take long for the steam to bring it all back to the boil, and she makes sure that the fibre is mixed well and pushed down deeply into the vat. She then puts the cover on, and the cook begins. It'll take about 3 hours, and she will continually monitor the vat, adjusting the steam input to keep the solution just around the boiling point, while also mixing and turning the contents. This is the first inspection. She knows it's too soon, but wanted to get a feel for how things are going. Do you hear what she says? Still too hard, not cooked yet. More stirring, more mixing. At this point, she and I went outside for a few minutes. You can see how the cooking room is separated from the rest of the workshop. Murata-san was very, very proud of what we see here, and she wanted to make sure I got this into our video. Do you understand why? It's the steam. The steam announcing to the rest of her village that this workshop, after an 8-year hiatus, is back up and running. As the fibre softened up, she became more careful with the temperature. It doesn't need to be a roiling boil. A softer cook is less likely to damage the fibres. The color of the soup becomes a rich, deep brown as various unwanted components of the mulberry leach out. Time for another check. And again, still too hard. Not yet. Notice how she is testing by pulling the fibre apart horizontally. This tests for how well the strands will separate without harming their length. She wants to keep the fibres long. In her comments to me here, she is speculating that perhaps she has the alkali strength somewhat too weak. She'll compensate for this by lengthening the amount of time the fiber stays in. So how did we spend our time while waiting for the fiber to be completely cooked? We got busy cleaning. These are the boards on which the formed paper sheets will be dried. And as this workshop hasn't seen any papermaking action in years, it is going to be necessary to clean these thoroughly before we can put our new paper on them. I'm behind the camera at this point, but I didn't just stand around and watch. I got myself totally soaked during this stage. Then finally, around 3 hours after we started, the testing shows the crisscross pattern that she has been waiting to see. Look at this. The fibers are pulling apart easily, but are now also beginning to separate along their length. It's time to stop. In the old days, when this process was controlled by a wood fire underneath the vat, the cooking would have been stopped a bit earlier, and the fire would have been damped bit by bit, bringing the temperature down in a controlled descent. These days, it's steam off, cover on, and the vat will be left to steep for the rest of the afternoon. She and I went back to our cleaning work. By early evening, it was time for Murata-san to remove the fiber from the vat. But in contrast to her vigorous handling of the mulberry before it went in, she is now handling it very carefully. It has become very soft, and in all the subsequent stages, she will handle it with care, doing everything she can to preserve the length of the individual fibers. Okay, most of what you heard, I mean, I see my screen has gone to sleep here. It doesn't matter because whatever, the whole last section there is just going to be audio. What's this? Wake up, I'll need you in a minute. Hi, thank you. Most of it will be audio. What you heard me doing then were, of course, you heard me pausing and pausing and pausing and pausing. So those will be voiceovers, of course, going on to a video stream that's already done. Now the next section I'm going to do, just a sec, I need to change my script. Cue cards part 2. This next section is different. This is now me to camera. And this thing shouldn't be going to sleep. It wasn't going to sleep yesterday. How do you tell a screen not to go to sleep? What have we done? Here we are. This is not my computer. It's nothing to do with battery. It must be screen. Where are we here? Screen time. No. Displays. No. Screensaver. Click the Apple. Hold on. Well, I'm in the settings, of course. That's I know something about Apple. I'm in the settings. His OS is a different OS than mine. On mine, we come to screensaver, and it then tells you, you know, go to sleep after 15 minutes. Oh, is it the energy savings? Hi. Yeah, I'm trying to look under energy settings. Here we are. Energy settings. Power nap, it's off. Hard disk, go to sleep. Doesn't say anything about the screen. Every time they make a new OS, they change everything, shuffle it around. There's no battery here. This is a plugged-in desktop. I'm looking in the settings. Accessories, control center, Siri Spotlight, privacy, desktop. Nope, nothing there. Displays, that's just asking about how big and how small it is and how bright it is. It doesn't say anything there about turning it off or on. Look for delicate settings. Nope, nothing there. Picture. What picture to use for a backdrop? Lock screen, lock screen. In settings, Karen says settings, there's a million settings. Lock gamen. Okay, I see it, I see it, I see it. Gotcha. Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. I've never seen this before. It doesn't have it in my machine. Okay, what do we do? 10分後しない. Don't use screensaver. Off 10分, turn it to no. All right, thank you, Karen. I've never seen that before. My OS, I guess, doesn't have it. I'm still on quite an old machine. Thank you, ma'am. Karen saves us so many times, you know. Okay, this, speaking of Karen and boxes and mulberry packing, were we? I mentioned a magic trick. Okay, nothing to do with our current video here, just a moment. Nothing to do with our current video. But let me, we'll need that in a minute. Let me show you without comment. I will keep quiet here. I will show you a clip from our last Twitch stream. It's a little bit less than 2-minute clip. And this comes to you courtesy of a lady in France who wrote me an email. She saw the previous stream on VOD. She wasn't there live. She was asleep. It's in France. I'll show you this now without comment. I have entitled this video clip, Oops. There is actually a bit more news about this mulberry and stuff. For the past 2 weeks, on and off from doing my printing, I've been spending 1 and sometimes 2 days a week out at the outside office here. And it's been video editing. And I can tell you now that the next video, the video where some of this fiber gets turned and transformed into real actual washi paper, the video is now, it was, I can't read my writing. The last one was, you tell me, 670, 676, I don't know, do the playback. The next video is now, it's in the timeline. Everything's in the timeline ready. The script is written. It is ready for filming. And if all goes well, within a week now, plan is to record my parts of it, my voiceovers, the narration. So I don't know how many people are watching. 700 people are watching. I have no idea, and I didn't weigh that one. Well, when I saw her email, her email said, Dave, I'm really apologizing. I really don't want to make trouble for you, but I think perhaps maybe you missed one. Whatever. And I'm like, no way. Of course I did them all. I put one by one. I counted. I wrote them down. We double checked. We did everything. And no, I missed one. This was in the first box. And as you saw, I held up the card. I think there had been 4 rolls, 4 or 5. And this was roll number 6. And I didn't weigh it, didn't write it down. So I wrote back to her, and, after I confirmed what had happened, I wrote back to her. And of course, the chat, got distracted by the chat. But isn't that fun? If I were trying to be a magician, if I had tried to do that, let's see if I can slide one through in there so that they don't notice. What would I have done? I would have, broken the routine, picked it up, and then talked about something else, and then talked about something else. I would have fooled around, It's really interesting. This is how magic, on stage is done. It's absolutely fabulous. So maybe I need a new career. So, no. Anyway, the lady's name is Annabelle. I think I can say that she's not here. She will see this, you know, she's at the moment asleep, of course. She'll see it later on. I think it's okay. The lady's Annabelle. So on behalf of all of us, Annabelle, Sam, please take a whole bunch of chocolate eggs. I very much appreciate what you've done. Don't be embarrassed about telling me about a mistake. And it's funny, a few minutes later in that same stream, we were talking about when I was making a fool of myself and making mistakes. Whatever, whatever. So I have a quarter in my ear. Did you see? So anyway, thank you very much for that. That was so much fun. I couldn't do that if I had tried, and okay, maybe other people saw it but didn't think to comment. I was going to say, by now 4,000 people have seen that and only one person noticed that. She had better not go do any magic tricks, whatever. Okay, let's get back to work. Now, I've changed to section B here. I am now going to speak directly to camera, and the thing that I'm going to, I will be visible. So I have got to set it up with, let's see, the previous clip ended. This is all the stuff that was happening while I was doing that voiceover. She washed the fiber, she cooked it. We went outside, remember, we saw the steam outside. She cooked even more, she kept testing. This is the video that plays while that previous voiceover stuff you heard was happening. So I want to stop this at 7:54. The 1, 2, okay, we're going to stop that there because that's the point in the video that's playing when I now come back to screen. So what I'm going to say now is referencing this section, and then there's a bit more voiceover. Then I have to pause and change this. Glasses were on the desk to the left at the end. They were on here, right? Not here. They were here. I think this is the place I was. This is the point where I usually find out that I didn't punch it last time and it's been running for a half an hour. I can see a red light on or off. There's no red light. I give this a click and the red light comes on. That tells me we're okay. Now this is live. I mean live too. This is on air. And we need a sync. The gentleman we saw working with Murata-san there was Umeda-san, the owner of this workshop. He's now making it available to her. I've chatted with him now and then during the many visits I've made up there. It was easy to get on his good side. All I had to do is to remember to take him a little box of cookies or other snack each time I drop in. And his response is always the same. Oh, you didn't have to do this. Followed by, you're more Japanese than the Japanese. It's all very, very predictable. He is, of course, so pleased to see this workshop come back to life, even though Murata-san is as yet using only a small part of the facility. Back in the day, there was a full team of craftsmen working here, turning out hundreds of sheets of paper on a daily basis, all through the year. But the orders fell away bit by bit, and around 8 years ago, he gathered his staff together one day and gave them the news that they would be closing down. But then, whether he was optimistic or foolish, I can't really say, but he didn't sell off all the tooling and equipment and disperse everything, but simply covered it up carefully, ready for now this is voiceover. That basket of cooked fiber we saw wasn't ready to be turned into paper just yet. Murata-san next had to put it through the most labor-intensive stage of the entire process, picking out chiri, the term for the tiny unwanted scraps of bark or dirt. You might remember back to the previous episode of this series where we saw the white inner mulberry bark being separated from the dark outer layer. That process was of course not perfect, and it is at that stage now where the papermaker must get rid of every last scrap. Back that up, I spoiled it. You might remember back to the previous episode of this series where we saw the white inner mulberry bark being separated from the unwanted dark outer layer. That process was of course not perfect, and it is at this stage now where the papermaker must get rid of every last scrap. And as you can see from the way she is turning and checking each strand, the only sensible way to do this is underwater. But this is midwinter, and she will spend not only the entire day at this work with her hands in there, but a number of days in succession. You saw that deep basket of fiber. This will take a long time, a very, very long time. People ask about why not heat the water. Well, keeping the fiber cold all through the process results in the best paper. Clean and crisp sheets, maximizing the inherent strength of the mulberry. But surely, here in our modern age, can't we come up with a better way to do this? Again, that first part was me to the camera, but then we switched to voiceover, so it didn't become what I did with my hands. But now the next part is going to be me to camera, and we need a different picture in the back. We have to move ahead to my notes, say, here's her picking the chitty. I should play you a bit of it just so you can see, whatever, you know. She's in there in the water, and every single strand, top, turn it over, bottom, back and forth. You saw the size of that basket, 20, whatever, that was 20 kilograms of it. Okay, we're going to pause this because the next part now will be me live again, and this should be in the background. Got you. Stay. So just a minute, we're okay. I haven't touched anything. My glove. They're here. They live here. Don't. They live here. This is now going to be video. I'm sorry to again interrupt the flow of the workshop video, but there is something very important to bring up at this point. As viewers of our live streams have seen, I myself have been experimenting with ways to at least take two. It's a good thing film is cheap these days. I'm sorry to yet again interrupt the flow of the actual video, but there's something very important to bring up here. As viewers of our live streams have seen, I myself have been experimenting with ways to at least partially automate the process of scrap removal. I'm a handy kind of guy, and I think actually that this could be done. We could build a machine of sorts to help with this. When I told Marata-san about these early stage experiments, I had expected her to perk up. Really? Do you think you could do that so that I wouldn't have to sit there for days on end with my hands in this freezing water? Really? That's not how it played out. To tell the truth, she wants nothing to do with any such project. And as she talked to me about it, about her feelings and thoughts during the long hours of cleaning the bark, about her determination to create stacks of snowy white, clean, beautiful paper that would bring a deep smile to her customers, about touching with her own hands every single strand of mulberry in that deep bucket, sending it on its way to the next stage of the process. As she talked to me about these things, I started to understand. And I myself am in exactly the same position. I've had people watch my carving work, seeing my knife so slowly cutting along one of the lines with endless complicated areas still to carve. And they inevitably say things like, wow, that must take such a long time. Maybe you could get a laser machine to help cut that. And I simply smile and I reply with what has become kind of a catchphrase for me. Yes, it does indeed take a long time, but if you are enjoying yourself doing something, If it is bringing you deep satisfaction, isn't it better if it takes a long time? So I'm torn. I do still want to do something to help the classic papermaking industry stay alive by getting more young people to feel like it could be something they could work at, because that vat of cold water is a very, very, very big barrier. But I also understand Bharata-san's feelings. Perhaps it's actually not a bug. It's a feature. But enough sidetrack. Let's get back to the workshop. This, I think, is going to be a good video. It's taken me months to get it together. The video clips were taken in an October visit, December visit, January visit, February visit. You know, I said earlier in, if you heard me talk about this, there's no one time. She's a one-woman workshop. In the old days when there was 12 people working here, somebody's cooking stuff, another person's washing, somebody's beating, somebody's 2, 3, 4 people are forming paper. So each day the stuff, the fiber flows through. And fiber that is cooked on one day in a workshop like that, it steeps overnight, next day it's pounded, cleaned, washed, dried, it could be rocked, pressed. Any given bit of fiber will be in and out the door in 2 or 3 days. Now for her, it took her months to get through that batch of fiber. And there's a giant freezer and refrigerator at the back of the room there, which is helping this happen. There's no way you can do it by yourself, 20 kilograms of fiber. It just takes too long each of the steps. So that's what we're seeing here. You know, you'll see her clothes change, you'll see everything change, because the video that I'm going to present to you is one stream. And it is actually the same fiber, but it was all taken in pieces, back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. If I lived in the town there, it would be much easier for me to do this. Or also, if she had a bunch of people there all working together, this is next year, then of course you could stand there and watch. There's the fiber as it goes through in one door and out the end to the paper maker. So some of this it's been really confusing, whatever, for me to try and put together. Okay, now the next section, where are we? 8:43 here. We're about halfway through our time. We're about actually halfway through my stuff here. The next section for me, let me check my cards here, 1 second. Okay, the entire next section, I've got a set of 10 or 12 cue cards there. The entire next section is all voiceover. So I won't need to fire up the camera. I do need my cue cards, so I'll be looking over there, but I don't have to worry about what I'm doing. I don't have to keep myself presentable or whatever. So this next section now, actually let me confirm that, 1 moment, because there's lots of different stuff going on here. Let me just confirm this for a second. Where are we now? Okay, we need to get this. Well, no, we don't, because this won't show. This will all be just voiceover. So 1 sec. We've talked about the chiri. We've talked about the chiritori. We're now moving on with the beating stage. And let me see. Do I need to visibly get on camera? No, we won't. This next section will all be completely there'll be one point where I come back here to that shot. Okay. Okay, back to OBS. Okay, we're good to go. Okay, as I said, this next section now, I can be looser here because this is simply voiceovers. I do not need the camera. Are we ready to go? The audio is running continuously. Everything I do this morning, the mic rolls, and for the 7 hours of capacity on this thing, the mic just records my voice. So instead of turning the mic on and off and recording what track number and all that stuff, I forget it. The mic just runs, it records internally. It's also sending Wi-Fi signal to the camera. So for the parts that I'm on camera, the video there is also got my voice audio track on it, but the mic is also recording independently to a background uncompressed track, which I use edited to put into the video. So here we go, next section. Are you talking about rugby union? Okay, whatever. Let's go. Now again, I don't need the camera for this part, I just need the ideas. So if I screw up a phrase here and want to say something differently, I just pause. And I start again with that same cue card, because later on, clip, 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 clip. We're not cutting video here, we're cutting audio. So it's easy to, there's no glasses positions and stuff. Okay, here we go. I also don't need a sync. Here at the end of a day's work is the result. On her right, a clump of rejected fiber. This won't actually be thrown away. It will be used as raw material for making some rough sheets of paper that will wrap and protect the bundle of completed washi for shipping. And on her left, the stack of fiber that has now been cleaned of, hopefully, all remaining specks of bark. This stack then moves to a nearby, very strong table for the beating stage. As you can see, the fiber is piled on the table and beaten flat. It is flipped and turned again and again, with each batch being pounded for approximately 20 minutes or so. Now, I myself was somewhat confused by this at first. At every other stage of the process, the papermakers tell me, we have to be careful with this mulberry. The long fibers are so easily damaged. And yet, here we are, slamming it onto the table with this massive, heavy stick. But Murata-san says that this is indeed a necessary step to ensure that the individual fibers are properly separated from each other, and that without doing this, the mulberry would remain clumped together in the finished sheets. Well, at least for this part of the process, there's no complaint about cold water. This is hard work. The buckets of pounded fiber are then taken across the workshop to the circular separator. This is, of course, a relatively modern addition to the papermaking workshop. Not all papermakers use these, and it is possible to take the fiber from the pounding table directly to the forming stage. But there's no escaping the fact that running it through this process for even just a few minutes does very much improve the dispersion of fiber in the forming vat. It's dangerous though. Too long in here and the fibers can become torn and shortened. And both Murata-san and the Iwano family, who also have one of these, have stressed to me that it can only be used for a few minutes max. You can see in the bowl here that there are still some clumps. Perhaps it would have been better to pound a little bit longer. Perhaps she needs a few more seconds in this machine. Perhaps it should have been boiled just another 10 minutes. It's all a careful balance. Murata-san herself is still learning many of the ins and outs of this process, and because each and every batch of incoming fiber has different characteristics, and each of her clients have different requirements, she fully understands that she still has a lot to learn. This will indeed take her a lifetime. So, we must be ready to start making some paper, right? Well, no, not yet. For many, actually most types of traditional Japanese paper, the fiber would indeed now head to the vat and be formed into sheets. But for echizen hosho washi, the type of washi that we need for our printmaking work, there remains one vital step before that can happen. Believe it or not, the fiber now has to be washed. This is the stage called kamidashi and is unique to echizen hosho. Iwano-san explained to me one day that it is necessary to remove the unwanted hemicellulose from the fiber. This is done with crystal clear running water, the papermaker gently turning and teasing the floating fibers to allow the unwanted substances to float away. And yet again, too much would be destructive, losing too much material. The fiber at this point has now become extremely sensitive and must be handled with absolute delicacy. The transformation is stunning, as you can see in this comparison between the washed clump and the fiber in the basket, yet to be done. We're getting closer to the main event. Murata-san transfers the washed fiber to a large bucket at the side of the forming vat. The amount you see here is equivalent to 5 kilograms of the original dry fiber, 1/4 of what we saw being cooked earlier. But now for something a little bit different. Many viewers of this presentation have perhaps watched other videos about papermaking, but I would wager that you have never seen any footage of this next stage of the process. For the simple reason that this is almost certainly the first time in perhaps the previous 50 years or so that anybody has done this. We can pause that there. Because this is voiceover actually, I just realized that I could actually play some of this video here in the background. There's no camera turned on right now. Now it won't match exactly what's going on, but I can play some of this stuff here. It won't match exactly, it'll drift bit by bit by bit, but I can play some of this while I do this. So keep that in mind, that this is the voiceovers that will go on top of bits and pieces of this and whatever. Let's just do some of this. It's better. This isn't, but I got to turn the sound off. Yeah, sound off. So it doesn't interfere if it happens to play sound, because we've already got sound underneath this. Let's just do this some more. Let's play that. Murata-san is about to add rice flour to the mix. This was the common method of making echizen hosho paper in the pre-war period. The extremely finely ground flour settles between the intermingled mulberry fibers as they form into a mat, helping to create the smooth surface that printmaking requires. In the post-war era, it has become common for papermakers to use fine white clay, kaurin in Japanese, for this stage. And all the paper I have used during my entire printmaking career has been made that way. Now Murata-san and I, by mutual consent, are going to try to move a bit back in time. We have studied older paper, are very impressed with its overall quality and feel, and are going to do what we can to reach the same standard. Now it was not easy for her to do this, to find flour fine enough, to carefully cook it to the right consistency, to learn how to properly blend it with the mulberry and in what proportions, and we both understand that we are moving into somewhat uncharted territory, trying to reverse engineer the old paper. This was an experiment for us. What will the resulting paper be like? Well, let's find out. Now we've jumped ahead. This is still the rice powder, the rice flour. Now here we are. Okay, next, this matches now. And so finally, the mulberry fiber goes into the vat, ready for the main event. Not all the fiber goes in at once. She will put enough in the vat to form a dozen or so sheets, and will replenish it as required during the day as the amount thins out. I'm there in the background with the camera, and this was something we totally had not planned for. We were able to stream this next stage live to our Twitch fans. I'll leave a link in the video description to a place where you can watch the preserved stream from that day. Oops. We've jumped ahead. The long stick is being used to ensure that the fibers are indeed well separated and floating well in the water. It is very much a point of pride for a papermaker how to wield this I'm trying to do too many things here. Just a sec. Settle down, Dave. If I do too much, it'll screw up. We saw the stick, right? The long stick is being used to ensure that the fibers are indeed well separated and floating in the water. It is very much a point of pride for a papermaker how to wield this seemingly simple tool. It must not be allowed to damage or overbeat the solution. There's a certain sound to it, and it actually tears the water. She let me try it for a bit, but just laughed at my useless attempts and soon took the stick away from me. We now get a... It's somewhere coming in around here. We now get a peek at one of the most mysterious parts of the traditional papermaking process, the addition of neri. The textbooks describe this as a formation agent, and it has the function of helping the mulberry fibers properly disperse and float in the water, rather than dumping and sinking to the bottom. It is a very gelatinous liquid made from the roots of a plant in a hibiscus family, and its preparation and use are something of a black art. There's nothing automatic about this at all. It's just not possible to measure it out, dump it in, and get going. Murata-san spent quite a lot of time that morning studying the liquid in the vat, adding neri a bit at a time, stirring it in, and inspecting the result. It is a vitally important part of the process. I guess we saw the next part too. This is the preparation of the outstack, the area that will receive the paper sheets one by one as they are formed. She is setting up a small few wooden guides that will help her ensure that the growing stack of paper will be straight and properly aligned. I think that next part matches this. When this workshop was active many years ago, paper of many different dimensions was produced here. Each type had its own screen for dipping, and each one of those had to be properly strung up and balanced. The strings you see here are fastened to bamboo poles above Murata-san's head and will flex and take much of the weight of the screen as she dips and rocks it. And away we go. This is the part that Murata-san is the most comfortable with. She has worked in this village for just about 30 years since coming up here after college. And far and away, most of her time has been spent just like this, standing at the vat, screen in hand, forming sheets of paper one after the other. It is now completely second nature to her. This was the first time she had used this particular size of screen, required by my specified paper dimension, but that didn't bother her in the least. There's a wonderful paradox inherent in work like this. The customer expects the finished products to be exactly alike in thickness, color, strength. But her materials and environment, the quantity of fiber left in the vat, the viscosity of the neri, the brightness of the light coming in the window, these are all variable and change minute by minute as she works. She and I touched on this in an interview we had in a previous video, that although to an outsider this looks like an incredibly repetitive and boring job, in reality it is one of the most challenging and difficult jobs you will find anywhere. In this sense, it is very similar to what I myself do at the printing bench, working with variable and ever-changing inputs with the goal of producing a stack of products that are as identical as possible. Every sheet must be the same, and yet every sheet is unique. The part I just did as voiceovers, once we're in editing, I will take those clips, the voice clips that I just did, and I will match them to the video part you see here. And maybe if it's too long or too short, I will cut part of this out, put part of it in. There was no way I could sit here and do that kind of a talk watching this. So I stream it up, prepare the talk, and then put it together. I do have one phrase. This is one I showed you a minute ago. At this point, Dave's going to be quiet, blah, blah, blah. And we do a freeze frame, and I need a voiceover. One very happy lady. One very happy lady. One very happy lady. We'll try, whatever. Okay, are we still up on this? 9 o'clock, how are we doing? Okay. All right, a few more minutes. That sounds creepy. Nanda. Whatever, I think she is a very, very happy lady. I don't know. I did it multiple times. We're doing voice. We're doing voice. We're doing voice. Okay, shall we? It's 9 o'clock. The ninja video? The ninja video? Okay, this is all pausing for a second. I'm a little bit two minds whether I should show this. I'm obviously going to show it to you. The little bit of a background story. We talked about the ninja and we discovered that they have a pool up on top of their roof. The backstory was, a week or so ago, I was downstairs on the street and I heard somebody counting in Japanese. Ich, ni, san. Somebody was yelling in Japanese, counting. And they did it repeatedly. We looked around and the sound seemed to be coming from the roof of the ninja place. So I ran inside the building, up the stairs, second floor upstairs, third floor up the stairs to the roof, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And yeah, I could see that the ninja people had put a pool up on their roof. I think I showed you, did I show you a photograph of it? Whatever, I don't remember. I don't think I have anything here. We showed a photograph of the pool upstairs on, oh no, we moved the outside camera or something to do that. So anyway, yesterday, the same experience. I was downstairs and I heard the guy upstairs chanting. Now I know what he's doing, so I was ready. Zoom, I ran straight upstairs there and grabbed him the camera. There's the outside camera that we use when I'm doing my printing is still sitting there. I grabbed it, did a handhold, and I took a little video. We have not stopped the video camera recording. No, for this last section, I wasn't using video. I was just doing voiceovers. I didn't turn this on. This wasn't turned on. So no, the red light is off. We're okay. We're okay. No magic trick here. Confuse me, whatever. So we have, anyway, this is ninja being trained how long he can stay underwater. There's a pool there, there's mom watching. The little boy, he's got a straw, closing his nose, under he goes. Didn't quite make it. No instruction from the ninja chief. And goes under again. Is he counting? Can you hear it? I don't know. Not quite. I guess he got water in his nose. I don't know. Whatever. Might give some advice from the instructor. You can do it, boy. You can do it, guy. Maybe there's some ninja tricks that we know. Here he goes. Under. They've got it. I guess he stayed under for a count of two. There we are. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the birth of a new ninja. I hope the little guy doesn't mind. I think we're okay to do this. There they are. I know this is hot July and August. And I'm putting, they obviously, maybe when the kids are signing up for the course, they tell them bring a change of clothes or something. I don't know any of the details, whatever. But the temperature out there is like 35 degrees. It is no trouble for the kid to get underwater and have fun for a few minutes, whatever. And the mom's there. And the last time I saw this, there was 3 or 4 kids. There were 3 moms gathered around, 3 or 4 kids taking their turns, jumping in the water and doing, each had their own pipe, It's like a straw. I guess it's quite a fat straw. Maybe that's all it is. And I think all they're doing simply is just holding their nose and lying underwater. Because there's this feeling or myth or whatever it is that ninjas were able to attack a castle by, swimming underwater in the moat. Whatever. Anyway, there it is. There's our ninja. So it's a funny thing. It mixes pool news here at Mokuhankan with ninja news here at Mokuhankan. All right, where are we? It's 9:05. I don't have a show and tell today. We just have this work. And I really would like, if I interrupt this now and then come back later tonight, it's going to be a different time of day. It's going to be a different mood. The sound in the air will be different. So I would like to press on to the end of my flashcards here. Flashcards? Cue cards. And get this recorded to minimize the trouble. So this next section, again, the next 1 or 2 or 3 minutes here is not video. The video is in place. It's me talking. Let's just do some. I'll start this up. For this first run of making paper for Mokuhankan, Murata-san suggested we stop after an hour or so. She had formed 17 sheets and felt that this should be enough for me to test what we were doing. Remember, even though she had formed 17 sheets and felt that this should be enough for Dave to test what it was worth. Remember, even though this lady has a ton of experience at making paper, as in rocking the sheets, this was the first time she had controlled the entire process alone. And this was happening in a new workshop, with a batch of unknown fiber, netty that she was somewhat unsure of, and the first cook that she'd ever controlled completely by herself. Then on top of this was the experimental addition of rice flour, and me waving my camera all over the place. "Murata-san, we're going live in a couple of minutes." In retrospect, I'm astonished that she allowed me to be so intrusive that day. But I really needed to test this paper, as in test it by making some wood buck prints before we dared to move forward making hundreds more sheets. So as I said, we stopped after 17 minutes and then moved on to the drying process. Here we are, moving the stack, if I can call it that, over to the place where this happens. In former days, this was a massive hydraulic press, but the main hydraulics long ago died, and she is simply using this structure as a framework to hold the sheets in place. There's a small bottle jack that can be put up there so that a light pressure can be applied. We found, though, that after stacking up all the crisscross layers of heavy wood ready to start squeezing, that it wasn't necessary to use the little jack at all. The weight of all that wood was enough to expel the water from our mini stack. A typical deck of washi, normally a couple of 100 sheets thick, would be allowed to drain overnight, leaving the sheets in a condition in which they can be parted easily the next morning. For our short test run on this day, we uncovered it a few hours later for inspection, and the paper seemed to have lost enough water to allow for it to go through to the drying stage. So we moved over to the next room. I hear footsteps. Good timing. Pause. Test. Somebody there? It's okay, we're off. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. I'm just, at the moment, I'm just doing audio, so I can stop anytime. No problem at all. Hey, Nani, you're exhausted? It's okay, it's not live. Relax.
Yeah, I know. I've been listening. Yeah.
Good morning, good morning. How is it out there? Do you want to come sit?
It's 4.
She's a bit curious. Why do I have my bedding? It's sound. It's adequate sound. This is the teleprompter switch. Listen. Can you hear it? No, because of thumb.
I don't know.
No, but if I take away the thumb.
That's 4.
So, she's a bit curious why I have a feather bedding, a massive down quilt on the floor under my feet. It's to keep the sound from the teleprompter switch. You gonna come and say hello? What? Don't stand on the teleprompter. Don't stand on the switch. It's not so much room back here. Hey. Oh, there you are. Okay, where? Hi. I don't know where the camera is. That's this one. Okay, there it is. Okay, that's right. There's the camera. Okay. Right.
So you read this.
It's been going really, really, really well. I know I did lots of practice last night.
Can you read this? It's mirror.
Okay, just to explain, rather than me explain, come and sit down. Now, it's all set up from my height. Sit down for a sec. Now imagine the camera's over there. Do you see? What's happening? Don't look down there. That's the computer that's driving the monitor.
Yes, wow. And This is a mirror side.
But the thing is,
reflected.
on the computer screen itself, it's not mirrored left. Normal mirrors do left to right flip. This mirror is a special. It's flipping top
Upside
to
down.
bottom. Not upside down, not upside
Top to
down,
bottom.
top to bottom, which we never see in real life. It's because of the glass. You know how this works, to show you understand the concept.
Yes.
There's a piece of glass. Huh? What do you mean? Eh?
David.
What's funny?
Nothing.
Have you never seen a teleprompter
No,
before?
no.
Nanda, nanda, nanda.
This is my first time.
Anyway, everybody, they're all here. Sadako, Sadako, good morning, Sadako, good morning, Sadako. So,
Which monitor?
well, yeah, again, it's all going. At the moment, that you're lucky. At the moment, the camera is behind there. The main video camera, you can't see it. It's behind the towel. It's under the towel over there. It's turned off at the moment, but that's where the main video. Hello, this is woodblock printmaker David Bull. That's what I shoot.
Don't you perspire?
I am, and this is going to be a problem too, because when I start here, I don't have any sweat. But by the time I'm finished, my hair is going to be all wet. So I really, really want to get this finished as fast as I possibly can. So it's okay. And maybe it won't work. There's too much continuity problems. But whatever, I'll try and get it all in the can here now. Yeah, okay, at this point it's just voice, but are you going to take that upstairs?
Yes, upstairs.
Okay, good. I'm just doing voice now, so when you come back, it's okay, go through.
I
But
will be quiet.
then I've got one more video section to do. Yeah, there's just so many things. I'm not sure how much of this that I'm doing this morning is really going to be usable. There's so many things. Somebody's pointed out, what did I say? 17 minutes, 17 sheets. Whatever, I'm going to push through this now and get it in the can, take it downstairs, look through, see what I need to do. You said we stopped after 17 minutes. How far back was that then? Okay, where did we get to before I stopped? The weight of the wood was enough to expel the water from our mini stack, right? It's okay, fine. It's okay, Sadako.
I'm going to leave the jeans.
Oh, thank you very much. Okay, okay. I've got another half hour or so on this, then I'll come downstairs. It's 3 people today, right? It's you and...
It's 3 people.
You and
three
me and
ladies.
Udegawa-san. Oh no, and Nao-san.
Melcha.
So okay, great. So I can just take my time. Okay, you guys go for it. Yep. Okay, thank you. Where's the part about 17 sheets? Okay. Okay, I'll do that paragraph again. All right. Sadako's still there, so just a sec. Now somebody else is coming in. What's going on? Oh, the door's closed. Hi, okay. In retrospect, I'm astonished that she allowed me to be so intrusive that day. But I really needed to test this paper, as in test it by making woodblock prints before we dared to move forward making hundreds more. So as I said, we stopped after 17 sheets and then moved on to the drying process. Then we got down to blah blah, weight of the wood was enough to expel the water from our mini stack. Okay, here we go then. A typical deck of washi, normally a couple of hundred sheets thick, would be allowed to drain overnight, leaving the sheets in a condition in which they can be parted easily the next morning. For our short test run on this day, we uncovered it a few hours later for inspection, and the paper seemed to have just enough water. A typical deck of washi, normally a couple of hundred sheets thick, would be allowed to drain overnight, leaving the sheets in a condition in which they could be parted easily the next morning. For our short test run this day, we uncovered it a few hours later for inspection, and the paper seemed to have lost enough water to allow for it to go through to the drying stage. So we moved over to the next room. This consists of a large cupboard heated by pipes coming from the same boiler that supplied steam for the cooking stage. Stacked inside are these large boards. In traditional times, the wet sheets would be laid on these boards and then taken outside to dry in the sun. But expediency rules these days, and this drying cupboard allows for year-round use, completely independent of the weather. Not to mention keeping the paper free from dust and dirt kicked up by the modern passing traffic. Murata-san found it a bit difficult to peel the sheets apart. They clearly hadn't been left long enough at the pressing stage, but we had to keep moving, and she managed to get them separated and brushed onto the flat wood surface. The sheets go onto the wood face down. When we inspect sheets of finished washi, we see that the front surface is perfectly flat from drying against the smooth wood, but the back side will show gentle marks left by the brush that she uses to lay each sheet down. Once each board is covered with wet washi on both sides, it goes into the cupboard, where the paper will soon give up its moisture. And this, finished sheets coming out of the drying room, is the moment that I had been working towards for such a long time. Paper made specifically for Mokuhankan, with materials and process under my direction ready to become beautiful Mokuhankan woodblock prints. How had it turned out? Murata-san carefully separated the first few sheets from the plank. They came away smoothly, and as she pulled them up, I'm glad. It's great. Seems just right, I think. And to me as well, these sheets of paper looked very usable. They were a tad on the thin side, but in every characteristic that I could see at this point, the smoothness, the lack of bark scraps, the overall look and feel of these sheets, I was very, very happy. Now that's not the end of the video, that's the end of the third group and the third section. I'm sorry about the lack of interplay with you guys, whatever. Yeah, the last, again, people are saying I took my glasses and removed them. For this whole last section, basically the whole last half an hour of what we've done here, this is just voiceover. Nobody can see me. It's all the video will be playing that you've just seen, and these will be voice. So don't worry about glasses. Don't worry about repeating, stopping. That's this whole last section. Now the next section is different. Let me set up the next group of cue cards. The next section now is video. And I'll leave that because as I come on the video, this has all been blah, 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 blah. And as I come up for the next one, we're going to have to start the video in a second. This is now back at Mokuhankan. It is here. So I'm back at that pseudo editing scene. This is on the screen and I am now speaking to camera. So now glasses, etc. are important. It doesn't really matter about the perfect continuity because we have now watched a half-an-hour video and we come back to Dave saying about what we've just seen. If something slightly has changed, it doesn't really matter as long as I'm here in the same seat, the same place. Okay, this next section is video and I need props. Nanda! How's our time? We're okay, right? Okay, I need a woodblock print and I need a sheet of paper. Back in a sec. Gotta go upstairs. Dave, relax, relax. Okay, how should I do this? Piece of paper's there. That wasn't there before, so we should put this somewhere else. Out of sight, over there. This is going to turn on in a moment. Check with the chat, we're all okay. Okay, we're all set. All right, thank you. Getting closer. This is we're coming to the end of the video. There's one more to camera, one more small voiceover section, and then the final good night to the camera. So for this now, we're to camera, no glasses, mic, hair, no headphones, cue card ready, camera on. Red dot. We'll need a voice sync. Forming of those first test sheets took place in the first week of December in Murata-san's workshop, and I absolutely needed to put the paper to a printing test. So once the paper was pulled off the drawing boards, Sadako and I headed straight back to Tokyo with it under my arm. Murata-san was to continue forming sheets with the rest of the fiber in the bucket and would send that batch to me when it was done a few days later. She would then pause production and wait for my report. Now, I thought there could be no possible better test for the new paper than to try it with the first print in our Dreams of Future Past series, which was just about to get underway. The block set for the takeoff print, freshly cut by Taran-san, needed to be tested anyway, so that was what I used. How did it go? Well, I could talk about the proofing, or I could show you. It'll take a few minutes. Are you up for it? That's a rhetorical question, if ever I've heard one. Let's watch. Okay, the video is now off. That video is now off. And at this point, let's switch to now there's no way we can overlap this perfectly because I'll just let a bit of this run. The things I'm going to speak now are clips that will be pasted in somewhere here, and they may not match right now. So just so you don't get bored, I'll let that run and I'll do my video. There's 3 or 4 pieces that I will paste in here somewhere. This is not video, this is just audio. For those of you who have watched some of our printing videos, you will notice a few things different here. This is not a production run, but a trial proof. For long print runs, each sheet normally comes out of the stack in front of me, gets printed, and is then moved off to a separate stack on the right. But here, there are only a few sheets of paper in play, and I am keeping them on the shelf in front of me, taking them out, and returning them to that same place. Another difference is the placement of the color bowls. For this test, they are off to the side, out of the way. But during a normal print run, they would be located on the bench quite close to the block. This minimizes travel time for the brush while applying pigments. Not specifically related to the paper, but it's worth mentioning here that the color palette you see during this proof run is something quite new for us. Mokuhankan, for the most part, uses a quite traditionally Japanese range of colors in our prints. But authorized, the young French team who are designing this series, of course feel no such constraints. We're having quite the adventure here, mixing colors we've never used before. This particular design turned out to be an absolutely perfect testbed for Murata-san's new paper. Down at the lower part of the image, you can see that multiple colors become overlaid. This is the ultimate stress test for our papers, both physically for standing up to such heavy abuse without tearing, and structurally, allowing even the later pigments to be pressed deeply into the fibers. Each color remains visible all the way down to the white of the paper, which still shows through. This is the part I mentioned, the bottom part here. There's brown, there's lilac, there's blue, and they go right on top of each other. This is wet paper. And I am not playing games here. That's power, power, power. And her paper just sailed right through. I had really been worried about this. It might have been too weak. The rice might have caused problems. It just took all the abuse we could give it. And the color, like I said, you can see all the colors below each other all the way down to the white paper. Absolutely, she passed this test 100%. For the final couple of impressions here, the blue on the sky, which is a double impression, and the last green tint, I am going to tease a little bit. These clips are not from the same test run that you've just been watching. These clips were taken during the first production run for subscription prints a couple of weeks later. While I was making those prints, I knew that I wanted to create one of our famous PPOV videos, Printer's Point of View. So I mounted one of our cameras above my printing bench, pointed straight down onto the woodblock. And at some point during each one of the color impressions, I captured a single continuous video stream for 10 sheets of paper. No gaps, no edits, no talking, no breaks. Seeing the process live like this is incredibly valuable. Seeing the process live like this is incredibly valuable valuable. Seeing the process live like this is incredibly valuable information for anybody out there who wants to become proficient at this work. Watching one dab, one rub, one sheet, that tells you next to nothing. As I mentioned earlier when referring to Murata-san rocking the paper about working with variable inputs to create consistent output, it is the flow of the work that is key to success. How much pigment goes on? How much paste? Where do I rub? For how long? What is the pace of the work? What does the movement of the Baron sound like? Why didn't he put more paste there? So here, hopefully with your headphones on, you will have a taste of what my next video will be. All the footage is of course already in the can, and once I'm done with this current video production, I will move ahead with final editing on that project any day now. I'm a bit worried now about the sweat. The last scene, I've got one more scene to do to camera. And it will, in the video, when you see it, it'll be like 50 minutes later. But now this is, 2 hours later, and I'm getting kind of sweaty. And I wonder, my hair might be starting to stick to my head or something. I don't know. What? That green's supposed to be once. Is it twice? Okay, whatever. I have to edit that. Acting coach, change to a different word, Dave. Yeah, I get it. Take out the word valuable, put something else in. Thank you. I'll try and remember that. Okay, freeze there. It's just incredible. It's just, I just want to eat it. It's just so, I don't want to talk about this. Okay, now the very last scene will be me closing off the whole video. And the video has got to this point, and then we cut back to Mokuhankan. And I'm here doing this. So let's do it. Dave, get your moist ready. This is the closing scene of our video. The video will jump from that scene to this scene. Now this, we need video. Oh my God, don't forget. No, it's off. Red light's on. We will need a sink. Well, as you can see, not only did her paper perform adequately, it rocked my socks. The pigments sank beautifully into the body of the sheets. The finished prints had a wonderfully smooth surface, and the most important test for us, in places where the color was overlaid multiple times. Cut! Little detail. Well, as you can see, not only did her paper perform adequately, it rocked my socks. The pigments have sunk beautifully into the body of the sheets. The finished prints have a wonderfully smooth surface. And the most important test for us, in places where the color is overlaid multiple times, the paper never gave up. It took all the beating I gave it from repeated, vigorous rubbing with my tools. It was at that point, after confirming with her about the quantities that she could produce and the production timetable, I pulled the trigger and made the decision to use this new Murata paper exclusively for the entire 2025 Dreams of Future Past series of prints. She got to work with the remaining fiber that had been cooked that day, and I arranged to send her some more. Now, I do have to mention that it hasn't been a completely perfect story. In the early stages of making prints with her paper, we did have some trouble with some sheets where color wouldn't take properly in a few places, and we ended up with strange white lines here and there, as you see in these images. Now, these are places where clumps of mulberry fibers hadn't separated properly. Perhaps the cooking time was a bit too short. Perhaps the alkali was a bit too weak. Perhaps they weren't beaten enough, or some mix of all those factors. Murata-san saw the defects, she soon got on the case, and subsequent batches from her have been completely free from this problem. So here we are, having washi of this extraordinary quality now readily available and presumably available long into the future. This is a complete game changer for me. Now, we are of course still going to use Iwano paper. I've promised them that I will continue to purchase their paper for as long as they keep making it. But to have Murata-san's beautiful paper also available is going to make a lot of things possible. Now, she has no intention of simply becoming Mokuhankan's in-house paper supplier. She wants to work with artists around the world and is also very interested in developing other use cases for her washi, even in the fashion industry, making dresses, as she mentioned in our first video in this series. It's going to take her some time to get stabilized and scaled up, and she is certainly going to need to get some people on board to work together with her. But with the head start that we've been able to provide by using this washi for our prints, her future is looking pretty good. And for me, in the here and now, my biggest ongoing nightmare, the possible sudden loss of our paper supply, totally destroying our entire business model, has now been removed. I can sleep peacefully again. I think that's enough for now. Thank you for following along, and I'll see you soon with that next printing video, for which you really should prepare headphones. Thanks for watching, and bye for now. One take, it's been 1,000 takes. What's this? What's this? No, I'm sure I'll have to do some of this again. And really, I'm really worried about the sweat. I mean, maybe you can't see it, but like this sweat on the back of my hands, it's glistening. I don't know, whatever. This may all have been just another rehearsal. Some of this can be used. Maybe most of this I can use. I really don't know. I don't know. I have a job in front of me now. Soak all this into Final Cut Pro, try to put it together, see what I need to come and do again and get it organized. Someone says, I hit the mic at the end. Did I? At the end meaning somewhere in that last, when I picked up the paper, you mean? Whatever, I'll find out when I find out. I'm sorry, thank you very much. Okay, I don't know if this has been interesting or not for anybody, but whatever, there we are. Our next stream now, today's Saturday, Monday, almost certainly Monday will be a sizing stream. I have to get sizing ready. Chiharu-san is at the moment printing DF, we call him DF, Dreams of Future Past. She's printing DF, I forgot what number. I did 7. She's printing DF 8. And she will be returning the blocks to us in a week or so, and I then have to step to the plate and do my batch of printing on DF8. So my streams in the next couple of weeks, or for the next couple of weeks, will be printing streams. I'll be printing the print that's called Home, the one inside the Space Colony. No, not Home, it's called the Colony, the one inside the Space Colony. Okay, that's it. Monday streaming, Thursday probably printing. Who knows? Thanks very much for watching. Thanks for your patience while we do all these things. Okay. See you next time. Let's just sign off. I need a drink. Boy, oh boy, do I need a drink. As in water drink. Thank you again. 3, 2, 1. Bye for now. Thank you.